Hi everyone, in this video what we're going to be looking at is how can we show the impacts on profits of shifts in revenue and cost curves. Now with this in mind then, I'm going to start off by drawing you a position where a firm is making super normal profits. Right, so what we'll do, we start off by adding revenue curves. Remember, average total revenue is equal to demand. What we then do, we add cost curves. And remember, as long as in the short run firms can cover at least variable costs, they will supply. In the long run, if they can cover average total costs, they will supply. So this firm will happily produce in the long run because the ATR is above the ATC, the making supernormal profits. And we can show them on this diagram. Okay, so look, we've got them. We know that that rectangle there is the revenue, and the gap between ATR and ATC can be used to show the area of supernormal profits. Right, this is where it gets a little bit messy. Now imagine that in this particular market there was an increase in demand. It doesn't matter what the reason is, you know, it could be just an increase in popularity of these products, just a change in tastes, whatever the reason, doesn't matter. But what we'd expect, if there's an increase in demand, we'd expect revenues to increase, prices to increase. We want to be able to show the impact this will have on profits. Now look at the revenue curve. What we know is ATR is equal to demand 1. So what will happen is, and if there's an increase in demand for the product, then ATR will shift outwards. Now, what we'd expect then is the MR curve to be dragged out with it as well. So in effect, what we've now got then is a second set of revenue curves. All we've done is shift the demand, so both revenue curves outwards. Now, look what this will then do. I'll use green to show this. Remember, profit max will occur when MR is equal to MC. Now on this diagram now, look, MR equals MC at that point there. I just found where MR2 is equal to the marginal costs. So this firm is now producing more output. The price will be based on the new demand curve. And we can see that price will increase from price 1 to price 2 due to this increase in demand. Now on the diagram, we can then work out the area of supernormal profit. So we know at Q2, that's the ATR. And if we go vertically down, we will find the ATC curve. And look what happens now. The full green area and that blue area is showing the impact on supernormal profit of ATR moving outwards. Now let's show the exact opposite now then. A decrease in demand. So again, what we'll do, we'll add the original average total revenue and marginal revenue curves. We'll add marginal cost, which is equal to supply, and we'll add ATC. Okay, so we've got here a firm that is again making supernormal profits, and we'll show it. Profit max, MR equals MC, that's Q1. We use the demand curve to determine the price. The gap between ATR and ATC will show us the area of supernormal profit. Now what I can then do, I can then show demand falling. Now what you'd expect, if demand fell, then you know prices would fall and that would affect revenue. So what I'll now do, I'll add a second ATR curve. And I'll add a second marginal revenue curve. I've shifted them both inwards. Right, now I've got to take my time to work out where the new profit maximizing output would be. So I've got to find where MR2 cuts marginal cost. That is there. So straight away, look what happens. The firm's output will fall from Q1 to Q2. And we'll then go all the way up to ATR2 to find out the new selling price. Okay, now based on ATR2, we can see that price will stay actually more or less exactly the same. But then look what happens. The profits now have fallen from ATR2 down to the average total cost curve. And the firm is now making less supernormal profit than what it did do before. Okay, right, what we can then do is show the impacts of cost curves shifting as well. So again, what we'll do, we'll start off from a position where the firm is making supernormal profits. So we'll add revenue curves, and then we'll add the cost curves. And again, look, we've got profit max, MR equals MC, that is used to determine the price. And on the back of that, we can see the area of supernormal profits. Now, if business costs increase, what we'd expect is for the supply curves to shift to the left. So what we'll do, we'll draw to the left of this a new marginal cost curve. And then what we'd expect to happen as well on the back of that is the average cost would get dragged upwards as well. So we'll add an average total cost curve too. What we'll then do, we find out the new profit maximizing output where MC2 will cut marginal revenue. And then we go up to the ATR curve to get the price. And the gap between ATR and ATC2 will now show the level of supernormal profit. You can see that the profits will fall when we have this increase in cost of production. They've gone from the blue area to the green area. Let's now show the impacts of a decrease in costs of production. So again, what we'll do, we've got quantity, we've got price, we've got revenue, we've got costs. And again, we'll start off by showing the firm making supernormal profits. Okay, and then again, what we'll do, we'll show the area of profits being made. So profit max, MR equals MC, up to the demand to determine price. The gap between ATR and ATC will show the area of supernormal profits. Now, if costs of production fall, we'd expect the cost curve to shift outwards to the right. So we've now got marginal cost 2, and with that, we'd expect average cost of production to also fall down to this point here. What we can then do is to show the new profit max where MR cuts MC2. So we see output will grow, the price will fall, and then the gap between the ATR and the ATC would show us the area of supernormal profits. Okay, and we can see this time, the way that I've drawn this diagram, the area of supernormal profit will start to increase. Right, guys, well, overall then, look what I've done here. I've shown you in diagrams what will happen to businesses' profits when we have an increase in demand. We can see here that they would increase. When there's a decrease in demand, we can see that supernormal profits would actually start to go down. When cost of production increase, we'd expect supernormal profits to fall, and we can see that in this diagram. And we can see here that when costs of production fall, there's a good chance that the firm will be able to use that to generate higher levels of supernormal profit. So, guys, you've got their shifts in cost curves and revenue curves. Thank you very much for watching.